isi atikaribu tuende kuwatch fridge. Ile ilikuwa ni nini hii? Alafu hakununua tikale kalesi. Hizo hata hakukuwa zile ndogo hizo siku.
Ilikuwa ni standard.
Ilikuwa standard ni height yako. Yeah.
Alafu ni one door, freezer juu.
Bas.
Chini ni.
Iliingia na sisi kuna kitu. Tulikuwa na freeze kila kitu. Maziwa.
So unaikula kaa cools. Hey, nakwambia. Enyewe we suffered. No, hii inabidi tulipwe.
Yeah,
and we need to be compensated.
Folks, man. But you can remember bread ilikuwa 5 bob. Hata ilikuwa 5 bob.
5 bob, 20 2 bob. Yeah, bread. Wewe kwani ulizaliwa mwaka gani? Bread ilikuwa imefika bob.
Bread haikuwa XP vile.
Bread ilikuwa imefika bob. Kuna mtu alitumanga picha hizo mavitu za moja. BRO iko nini vile ilikuwa kakati kalikuwa kwa gazeti. Kuna mtu alipost. I think the most expensive thing was like 75 cents.
Wow. Hiyo ni ya 70s Buddha.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
Yeah. Kwa sababu mkumbuka tukikosa, yani ungekula bread ilikuwa once a week, saa 2 asubuhi. Weekday kabla uende chuo.
Mliumia. At least ulikuwa nakula mkate at least kulikuwa na kamkate once at least twice a week.
Hayo kwa priority kwa mother. Asubuhi, unajua alikuwa na watoi 5. Alafu maze kuna marela wako na nyinyi.
Mko watoika 15 kwa hao. On average 10 kids.
Unajua, so there's a time, so juzi tu. So my bro has 3 boys. 2 of whom are like teens a couple of years ago. Yeah. And then my sister kona teenager pia. Ama boys 3 walienda kulala kwa sister yangu akacomplain siku ya kwanza. Kila boy na dish loaf yake peke yake.
Lakini kula loaf ilikuwa ni nini? Mimi naomba kuna siku ile kabla slice bread.
Yeah. Ilikuwa kile kibofu.
So unajikatia, so mimi nilikata slice 3. Inaitwa ujanja. Badala ya kukata slice konda mob, ulikula mkate, mimi nilikula slice 3. Lakini nakiangalia imebakia ka quarter hapa hivi. Hata si ka quarter ka fifth. Akaniuliza, hebu kata hizo slice zako. Slice moja na tujani.
Ni thick.
Lakini kula slice 3. Sasa ni mambo ati kutoka shule nunua mkate. Alafu hiyo tutakula paka asubuhi. Jioni. Kuna ka slice kana toshana hivi kamebaki hapo.
Alafu unajua kulikuwa na zile mabakery ungeenda upate bread fresh. Mimi kutoka chuo kulikuwa na oven door.
Sisi tulikuwa naishi mtaani, wangeka bakery kwa tungei break in usiku. Tungeiba hata hiyo dawa peke yake tungeiba tukakule. Kufura tumbo ni baadaye. Unakula hiyo dawa peke yake.
Oh man, memories are made of this, man. Great memories, man.
But that is life.
To survive.
We suffered. Chapo once a year.
That's why we're like this, by the way.
Mimi nakumbuka the first time tulikula sausage tukashindwa kumaliza. We were very embarrassed.
That you couldn't finish.
Very embarrassed. Tulikuwa tumeenda I think there was a seminar, Sita Moodley. I still remember. So tukatoka wasa isichika 10. Hiyo squad tu, hiyo squad ya kina J, kina Nevs, and
Denver.
Worship team Denver. So squad tumetoka tumejituma. Tukafika huko tukapata kumbe invitees walikuwa karibu watu 200. Tumekuja watu wangapi? Kaa 20.
Wa?
Leo vile Sita mwanapenda food. Wale ni Waluya. So kulikuwa na bucket mzima ya sausages. Bucket ya zile zilitonga nini hizo mabeseni zinaekanga mafood. Ya sausage peke yake, ya samo peke yake, ya mandazi peke yake na chai kwa zile maans.
Yeah.
Tukaambiwa wase
shughulikeni. Leo ni ile siku.
Leo ni ile siku. Na kuna simu ya kupigia watu backup. Tukasema sausage haziwezi tushinda. Samosa tunaweza acha, mkate tunaweza acha, mandazi tunaweza acha, lakini samosa zitaisha.
Si sausage.
Sausage zitaisha. Tulikula sausage za kwanza na raha. 5 6 ikaanza kutesika nguruwe yenyewe. By the time unafika ya 10 inaanza kutesika cardboard. Tuliachana na sausage. Manze tumerudi mtatu kwa embarrass, hata tujui tuambie watu aje. Tumwacha sausage Woodley. That's when I realized kumbe ni njaa tu ndio inatuambia tunaweza kula sausage vile tunaweza.
Yeah, man. What's your first experience with cheese? This is weird, but
cheese.
Yeah.
I've never liked cheese.
You never liked cheese. Mimi nakumbuka nikiwa Raima. So of course the teacher asks, what's your favorite food? And so nilikuwa chuo ya kibabi. Mimi ni boy wa Kangemi.
Uko Kangemi lakini chuo ni ya kibabi.
Chuo ni ya kibabi mbaya. So, nasikia ma students zangu mazee hapo wanasema, "Oh, I like cheese. I like cheese."
Kajua hapo.
Si mmoja akanifikia pia. Moses, what do you like? Oh, yeah, I like cheese. Alafu beshte yangu Wandeto alikuwa na nini hiyo siku for break? Alikuwa na cheese sandwich bana. Maze, so si break time maze ndio sisi yao maze. Baada nikibilie mandazi zangu kwa hivyo kwa msali alikuwa anatuzia mandazi saa hizo. Nikaenda na Wandeto. Kamwambia, maze, siko na cheese sandwich. Ni raw kitu tu mimi na like. Buda nilipiga bite moja. Hadi leo mimi struggle na cheese.
Cheese, I don't know. I don't even know the concept around cheese. Wangeachana tu na hiyo butter tu ikwe butter, cheese wachane nayo. Na unasikia kuna zile zingine sijui inaitwanga nini ile. What is it called? Ile wanga na rufu.
Oh, blue cheese.
Blue cheese.
Yeah, that's my wife's favorite cheese. Oh, bro, she loves blue cheese, man.
I hope she keeps it outside the house, eh?
Kuna
kafriji kadogo huko kwa fence.
We don't buy it because yeye pekee ndiye ataidishi. Yeye pekee ndiye ataidishi.
Kuna unga ingine. Sasa hii kitu natakaje?
Ni herbs.
Ni herbs.
Yeah, that's a holy herb now.
Aita nimalizia hiyo. Mata itaenda na kahawa yangu yeye mchezo.
Bro.
So, there's a unga. Sonja kuna hizi za wimbi za nini, hizi ugali za brown za Waluya. But there's one that is made from fermented cassava. So cassava inakaushwa. Alafu inasokiwa kwa maji. Ina ferment. Alafu inakaushwa tena. Alafu sasa inagrindiwa. My friend, so tumeenda Rwanda. Apparently it's a favorite in Rwanda. So our house help tells us, I'll bring you original flour. So kutuambia ameleta.
Yeah.
Wife anaingia kwa kitchen anashindwa. Nini nanuka kwa hii room? Maze usafi. Wash this place. Day 2. So finally Hazo akasema, I brought you the flour. Kupiga rada. Maze hiyo packet ilifungwa hivi.
Stink bomb
bana. Lakini akipika sembe inatoka poa. Akapika sembe lakini kuikula ilikuwa shida. But when you cook it, your smell ina reduce.
Ile una dish mazo nasikia nika kuna karufu kanjuni.
Kuna karufu kiasi kwa umbali lakini sasa iko kwa packet. It rocks you up.
Yeah. Masaibu ya chakula. But dude, thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Karibuni Y-Hub.
It's such a good space, bana. You have a really nice space, Ewags. Hii kitu umejikopi nayo for a while.
So nataka kujenga kanisa. Shughulikie vijana.
Space uko nayo.
Kafelo hapa hivi tudunge sitting area.
Yeah.
Watu wakatiane pale pa kiroho si kwa dunda.
Ndio hiyo.
So just a safe space for young people.
It is.
Yes.
It is. And you know, one of the things that committed sana in life is our young. I think for as long as I've known you.
It's a joy to work with young guys. I always say you're working with potential, so you can see them come from nothing, learning their skills, growing in their faith, and becoming who God wants them to be.
Yeah.
So that's, I think for me, that the fact that you can see the results of your work gives it a plus working with young people.
And you're one of those guys who, you never used your youth ministry as a platform kwa senior pastor.
Okay.
Unajua si wengi wanakuwa kama youth pastor lakini
wako in waiting. Wako rada wanangoja mwanya.
Yeah.
No, I think youth ministry is a call in itself.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes, and I have many friends of mine who are not regretting, but actually look back at youth ministry as probably one of their most productive times in ministry.
Oh, wow. And now they're in senior positions now.
They're in senior positions. Then the assumption is when I move to senior position, I can be able to influence more what happens in the youth space. But you see, your focus changes.
Yeah.
You now begin to deal with other things and they become priority. What you lose sight of, you lose interest in. So many of them will go with that sense of, wacha niende nishikilia hapa ndio sasa tusukume resources. 2 days later, we think the vijana wanaweza wakahamia kule kwa tent.
In fact, sasa yeye anaita yule youth pastor ameingia.
Anaita youth pastor anamwambia mzee,
Sasa
budget tumekata yenyu.
Budget yenu imekatwa. Na yeye anajua masaibu alikuwa anapitia.
Yes. It's and I tried to understand it until I think it's a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I realized even when it comes to raising children, even at home.
Yeah.
What I find the parents are focused on career because career brings money home.
Yeah.
And money relieves the stresses of life. And then they forget that the reason why you're working so hard is to be able to provide for these kids. Because now the kids are not in focus.
Yeah.
It's the career, it's the goals, it's the, rising up the ranks. So kidogo unapata maze time ya family, the one that you're working so hard to provide for is not there. And then eventually you try to turn back and look at your kids. You have no conversations. You have no idea what their needs are. You have no idea what their challenges are. You have no idea what their passions are. And because you have not put your eye on them, the interest dies.
Yeah.
And they say, like any muscle, if you don't work it, inaisha. Sijasema kitu.
That's a touchy issue. That's a touchy issue. Ongelele kitu ingine lakini si muscles. Yeah.
Uko internally built.
But I agree with you, man. As parents, we do have the habit of working and chasing after the paper.
Yeah.
Trying to make our children live a comfortable life. I mean, tumeanza tukiongea tulikuwa na look back tunasema mazi tulikuwa tunaumia.
Lakini parents walikuwa.
Parents were very present.
Very present.
Like my mom would be at home by 4:00.
My mom was a teacher, so closing day tunafunga naye.
Even my mom as well.
Tukifungua tunarudi naye, and for a period I think I'm the only kid who didn't go to the school where she was teaching. All the rest of my siblings were at least for a part of their lives in school where she was teaching.
So kuna yeye home?
Uko chuo na yeye ukipiga kelele mwalimu akijam na wewe sana anaambia tu acha niende staff room narudi na masa. So I think that presence.
Yeah.
And a lot of our young people are struggling with that, and we don't realize how much until now when guys begin to have this conversation of old age. You've grown up, you've grown old, and your kids don't call you.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, why are they not calling me? I raised them, I provided for them. When ATM is the same, I don't go visiting an ATM machine.
I took to establish relationship.
There's no relationship.
Yeah.
And especially for fathers, because we are more driven with career and goals out there. And so for a father to be at home with his kids, actually is looked down on.
Yeah. The society does not appreciate it. Umeolewa wewe.
Umekariwa, kishapo. But the reality is, it's a relationship that you're building with your kids.
Yeah.
And finding that balance. I don't think it's a good thing to stay home and not work. Neither is it a good thing to work and not come home. So finding that balance of, yes, I'm working, but yes, I'm present for my kids.
Yeah.
That's a very critical balance.
What are some of the challenges? Because you've been at this for a long time now. The thing about youth passes is first, I think parents expect you to parent their kids. Because they don't have the relationship. But you, as the youth pastor, you have the relationship with the son or with the daughter. But the parents don't have it. So they expect you to do that. But so what are some of the challenges you may experience in that space where when it comes to issues of parenting or young people not having their parents around?
I think one thing, the exciting part about youth ministry is that finally you have access to people.
Yeah.
And it can get into your head. And you start thinking, it's me. So you basically alienate the parent and say the parent, because many times the source of issues
is the parents.
Is homes.
Yeah.
The parents, the dramas at home. So you almost feel like you're the knight in shining armor.
You're here to
coming to rescue the kid from the parents.
Yeah.
But as you grow on, you realize, however influential you are, the parent, you'll never outdo the parent. When push comes to shove, it's this parent who pulls the last cord. So moving from that to where you work to help the parent be successful.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, I think youth ministry has to double up with adult ministry, talking about family, talking about marriage, and helping the parent understand what it means for you to be away, what it means for you to have conflict, what it means for you to not spend time, intentional time with your kids.
Yeah.
And so keeping your focus, yes, on your career, but keep your focus also on your kids, because nobody will raise your kids for you. Yeah. But if you die today, your position will be replaced like before close of business, you know. So hiyo bado unapelekwa, bado hujafika leave in roll. And we announce. But your kids will not have a father.
Yeah, that's true.
And so knowing that you cannot be replaced in this front should give you the reality that you actually are most critical on this front.
Yeah.
Anything else you do out there is to be able to succeed here. Any successes you achieve out there are to be celebrated here in the home.
At home first. Yeah.
And so the youth pastor is to be able to help the parent as well to realize, hey, maze, hii relationship na career yangu is all to feed into the kids. My success out there, the accolades I gather, if they don't bring celebration in the house, kwa sababu watu wanasema maze, mbuyu hayuko.
Mother pia, because nowadays even...
Yeah, mother pia yuko.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things. And I encourage parents. I'm like, listen, kana mtu huyu msikize. And when they sit down with the kids, sometimes you have to mediate because saa zingine mazee washapigana makali huko mpaka yani hata kuna mtu atakuongea na mwingine. You come and mediate, but ultimately you want to make sure that they are able to build that community.
But how is it, I think the more we talk about it, or as I listen to you talk, I'm like, right now, the times that we're living in, it's very different from when our folks were there. I think that there's a lot of pressure. First on even on the parents to be successful financially. The other thing is you're being driven by careers. Like you can't stay in the same place. The society also, they expect you to keep moving up the ladder. The other thing, as you go up the ladder, then you find yourself that even with the time that you have for you to be able to move up the ladder, then you need to add a couple of things. So kuna chuo.
Kuna kaya MBA kanachomewa hapo jioni.
You have to go for MBA, exactly. So your time is very limited. And even on weekends, when you're supposed to spend time with your kids, then you have
kale kahasol unafanya biashara yako ya sound.
Exactly.
Umeenda kufanya wedding Karatina.
So the only time that maybe you get a chance to hang out with your kids when you're going with them to church, and you still won't hang out with them because when you get to church, kids...
section yao.
They've gone to their section, and then you go to the adult church that we call the main service. I don't know what's up with these other ones. They're not main.
They are not main for us.
No.
They are main for the kids.
Yeah.
I think the word intentionality is key. Because why you're rising up in your career is because you're intentional about it. And somebody said, you know what, we work very hard to build our careers. We work very little to build our marriages.
Yeah.
So no wonder your career succeeds and your marriage fails.
Yeah.
You're also not intentional with your kids. No wonder, if you're a teacher, your students succeed, but your children who are the same age fail.
Yeah.
Because you're not intentional about bringing the values that you are and the effort that you're putting in your career back to the house. So what happens? Your marriage is on autopilot. Your parenting is on autopilot.
Yeah.
Your career is on full engagement. So whatever you put your efforts in, and I remember I did a post about this, and I said, you know what? People put, you look at somebody who is successful, you need to ask them, what have they sacrificed? Because if their family is collapsing, there's a question about it. Then which means you've sacrificed your family. And yes, you'll get opportunities. Somebody will tell you, hey, Maze, there's a program being offered 1 year in Israel.
And you take it.
And you're like, Maze, 1 year in Israel, and I come back and I'll rise in the ranks. But what does 1 year mean?
Being away from your family.
For your family.
Yeah.
Sometimes 4 years.
Yeah.
All right? And I've told people, if you're not intentional to be decisive about some of those things, this world, will choose for you any direction. Your CEO is happiest for you to work for him.
Yeah.
He's not happy with you taking care of your family. He doesn't get points for you being at home with your kids.
No.
His career, his business doesn't grow.
No. When he's meeting with the board,
he's
not been asked, how the family is doing.
How the family is doing in the company.
No.
Nobody's asking.
Nobody cares.
Are the wives happy?
Yeah. Have you been taking your staff out for dates, making sure?
Let's see how they're spending time with their families. Nothing. Nobody.
In fact, the more time they spend with their family, the less time they're spending at the office.
In fact, there's an organization that has a fellowship of wives wives of this organization. Because you have to have a self-help group to saidiane because the husbands are not there.
Wow.
When the time comes, when the peak season reaches, guys are sleeping in the office for like 2 months. See ati jamaa kitokea home ni kulala,
kuchange
Na pia kuna bafu ofisini because now the company knows.
So si lazima ende job. Si
lazima
bachelors
wale mabachelors huko wanaelea hao wanajua my friend. There is free food, there is accommodation.
Yeah.
I can sleep at the desk and they celebrate that.
Yeah.
And those are the guys who rise up.
You're working hard.
So they have a kind of association of wives of this organization because of just the way the company takes them on. And nobody will apologize for keeping you in the office up to 10 p.m. Nobody. No CEO will tell you, why are you working so hard?
Yeah.
So the world will demand of you. It's for you to put limits and measures and say, you know what, guys, at this hour, I have to go.
Yeah.
Sunday is for me and
my family,
my God, and my family.
Yeah.
Saturday, I try and spend time. If my kids have activities in school, it's a priority. If I have an event for my kids in school, I'm not coming to the office. I'll just call and say, guys, it's sports day for the school. I want to go and cheer my kids. One of them is playing football. The other one is running 100 meters. I want to go and be there for my kids. If your organization says you cannot go, me, I just tell guys, you know what? It's a good signal for you to know you need to ship out of that place.
That's true.
Because yes, you will build a career, then you'll kill your family.
Yeah. You know what? Talking about relationships, man, and I know that this is one of those issues of Ewags. I feel, or not I feel, actually I have seen that unfortunately, many marriages are falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked around, I've seen it, I've experienced it happening even very close. And man, at some point you're like, it's like there's an outbreak.
It's a pandemic.
It's a pandemic.
You know what deep kusema pandemic.
Oh yeah, there's
it's a marital pandemic.
There is. Because many marriages are falling apart. And you have highlighted, one of the things is you say that it's like we've let our marriages be on autopilot.
Yeah.
Our family spaces be on autopilot while we're focusing and putting intentional efforts on all these other spaces.
Yeah.
Now, you come and kitu ina happen now, say we're young. I don't know if it's just something for our generation because
I think it's
divorce and separation were very rare for our folks.
There are two things. One, we've normalized divorce and separation.
Yeah.
The principle of, God hates divorce is no longer, even amongst devout Christians, a value.
Yeah.
All right? When you permit, when you lower a standard, one day you'll meet a reason to fulfill it.
Yeah.
If I say, si lazima hazi akuwe faithful kwa wife. We are polygamous by nature.
Hey, yeah.
Nishafungua mlango.
Just
by saying that.
Our African culture,
yes,
this is part of our tradition. I'm just adopting what I've been raised up with.
And so, the moment I put that it's okay close, I've already opened the door. The day will come. So lazima kuna kamanji kata kuchanganya. Moza hata saizi, hata pali umefika saizi. Kuna saa ingine ndanga commission hivi unaangalia hivi unasema, baba. Alafu unajiambia Mungu, I made a commitment. And so it's not that there are no opportunities, it's that you have made a choice and in your heart of hearts, you're saying, this is an X.
Yeah.
They can never be.
Yeah.
But the moment I put an if, a maybe, or there is reason, or there is, if this and this circumstance hold together, then this is acceptable. One day, those circumstances will come together.
Yeah.
And then you will have to ask yourself, so do I play to it or do I not? And so the same thing with marriage. The moment we put the exit clause, ayo mlango itafunguka siku moja. Whether you use it or not, as you live in this marriage, you are aware there is a door.
If you make it an option.
Yeah. It's like, it's like that emergency door.
Yeah.
You may never use it.
But it's there.
But you know it's there.
Yeah.
And whenever you feel a bit insecure, whenever you feel like, even sometimes I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I say, maacha nitoke.
Yeah.
And sometimes people leave and you ask them, why did you leave? Unasikia hiyo story maze unasema, tuko na jokes.
Yeah.
And I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes saying, many times couples come to see us, they have already gone through 6 months, 1 year, 2 years even, of a terrible marriage. They have undone a lot of what had made the marriage work for the 5 years they have been married, to the point that by the time unakuja kuwaongelesha, the acrimony is up there. Decisions have been made. Lawyers have been involved. Children have been poisoned. Hazi anasema hata nikitaka kukaa kwa hii house siwezi kaa, hata watoi wanipendi.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to that place, it's already too late to undo the damage.
Yeah.
But if we learn to come in and ask for help early, then you can be able to rescue. It's probably 70% of the marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are those? What are some of those flags that you've seen? Just that we need to be careful with, because I know you and Rosie are very intentional, especially on this space of relationships. And I'll touch on something else I saw on your Instagram the other day, where you're talking about was it sex before marriage?
Yes. There's actually a research that has been done that correlates premarital sex with the higher rates of divorce.
Oh, wow.
I think it was posted in the Ninet group. And I picked it and I opened it and I left it on my desktop. So I keep looking through just step by step.
Yeah.
And nobody had ever done a research that correlates premarital sex with divorce. And so what I was actually talking about in that clip is, telling guys this thing of that, we need experience. When I get an experience, my friend.
Test drive.
Yeah, test drive.
Yeah.
It distorts your perspective. It's not experience that you've gathered.
Yeah.
Basically, what you've done is you've just done mileage.
Yeah.
The commander, there are difference between
mileage.
wear and tear. Yani wear and tear umeingia nayo. Breakfast zimeisha. It's like and it's like buying a second-hand car. That has been driven in a snow area where they put salt.
Yes.
Kuna jamaa alikuwa na drive gari siku moja, amebuy gari ka youth pastor. Just normally youth pastor ndio alikuwa na hizi shida. Amebuy gari mazee, anajua mazee nimenunua ka second hand. But this car had been driven in a very cold part of the country in Canada. So amebuy gari, anapiga lap hivi, ametoka church. Kufika kwa lights, si watu wanasimama.
Yeah.
Akikanyaga break. Ile kipali amekaa, ikadunda. Alidunda kwa barabara.
What do you mean?
Gari ilifunguka. Kumbe rust imekula hiyo place ya kiti yake. So njiki kuna nika kibucket. So rust has eaten it. So his weight. Akikanyaga brakes ile kujaki hivi.
Chini.
Akadondoka. Sasa clutch zilibaki hapa. Mekanyaga chini kwa barabara.
Bro.
So gari ikadrag, uzuri alibakia kwa kiti, so of course the back of the chair didn't help him to not be hit by the car.
Yeah.
Ikamdrag, akaenda akagonga gari kwa mbele. Hiyo gari ya mbele ndio ikamsimamisha.
Hata zingeingia kwa intersection.
Mata ameshuka kwa gari anakama na anataka kuna driver kwa higa. Kumbe mzako huko down.
Hello?
I'm down here. Jamaa kushuka anauliza, anapata nani ni Masawa Church. And I was like, what happened, pastor? My car just fell apart.
Literally.
Cause gari imepiga mileage.
Yeah.
Imepigwa na salt. So imekula kutu huko chini.
Wow.
And that's what happens when we throw ourselves into relationships.
Yeah.
And we are out there, we are sexually active. So now these things of compatibility zimetokea. What if he doesn't satisfy me?
Yeah.
Unashindwa sasa. Ulitokea wapi?
That's crazy. So 2 things have happened over the last 2 weeks. So one was, I was with my boys and they could not believe that Debs and I had not slept together or even cohabitated. Ile tu kukaa tu kwa hao pamoja. Hata sikulala kwa bed moja, kwa hao moja. Before we got, they were like...
Nao ni Wakristo?
No, si Wakristo.
Oh.
But they couldn't believe.
Kwa sababu hata Wakristo ndio kuna tulizo maswali za test drive.
Of course, it's always that question of how far is too far. And then the other one actually was, the other day actually, there's a guy who, a stranger, someone we did not know each other from Adam. And so I was walking with him. And as we were bonding, he's like, man, the other day my wife left me with our 5-year-old.
Whoa.
And man, she said some very hurtful things. And so the guy went ahead and showed me even a text message that the wife had sent him, and one of which was, about sex. Yeah, when you're talking about that you don't satisfy me.
Hey, sasa si umepiga 1, umeenda huko umelimwa na mzee alikuwa amevuta sijui nini, amekula mkobero. Uni hazi yako ameokoka hajacha. Aya. The other thing, and one of my friends talked about it, sex toys.
Yeah.
Mbona kuja kukimbizana na mzee ametumia AAA. Energizer. Never say die. Wamepiga 27 seconds umemaliza, wife anashindwa boss. Kutaendaje? And you see, you're not given a new body when you get married.
No.
Ni ile tu.
That's decaying.
So kama ilikuwa imeshughulikiwa na energizer. Boys ana struggle hapa hivi na mzee. Hata kumjengo haikuangi kazi ngumu. And we tell these young guys, realistically, you're building a habit that you can't recover
that you can't recover from, yes.
Porn imechoma marriages ngapi?
Mob.
Sana. Because jamaa haoni raha ya wife. Anaenda ananyonga monkey huko anakuja ana doze. Nilikuwa naambia just imagine yourself, how well can you scratch somebody else? Wewe ndio unajua palipo kujikuna. It's the same concept. You know how to scratch.
There's no way your wife will satisfy you, bro.
You can't. You don't know it's itchy.
We keep telling guys mazi about nyonga in the monkey. I'm like, because kids will ask even about that. I'm like, you start a trend that's going to have consequences.
Yeah. But you know, the UK government actually did in 2017, 2018, they actually did what is it called? Did a publication from the Ministry of Education to schools saying that nyongaing is good at least once, twice a week for students.
Bro.
Because
they're telling high schoolers.
Yeah, on high schoolers that because it relieves tension, it's a healthy way to deal with your sexual desires. Mazena imetumwa na gava.
What?
Because of this very liberal perspective that this is a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Alafu sasa watu hiyo wamenyonga mpaka mkono moja imejenga. Kwa lefty. Ndio boss. Mbona uende gym na mkono zote mbili?
Sasa tembea hivi.
But there was a meme like that occurred after COVID. Ati mzee ametoka. Hey bro, what's up with your hand?
By the mtaani kuna msali kwa hivyo tukigrow.
Si DJ Lefty alikuwa anaitwa Lefty.
Hizi mamjei za mtaani. Vile wamejitengenezea ka gym. So side moja of course imeshona kwa.
Sasa kulikuwa na boys alifanya hivyo intention, alikuwa DJ Lefty, alipasta away a few years ago, alikuwa bouncer. Papa Lefty alikuwa bouncer. Ilikuwa mkifight, make sure ati mkono ya left isikuomoe. Akikupiga nayo left, kisha wanaambia ogopa left. So boys wetu bana wameumizwa huko mazee. Alafu sasa unakam kupata wife.
Yeah.
And you see what happens with porn and masturbation is that it creates a neuropath separate from sexuality. So this does not work with this. So these are different whole ball game.
Yeah.
It doesn't improve the quality of your sex. In fact, if anything, it compromises
the quality of
sex. The quality and the desire for natural sex. So nakuta jamaa anaacha wife kwa bedroom, anavuka bafu. Mpaka wife
satisfy.
Wife anamshoniaje? Unadu nini huko? Anasema mazee lazima nikamalizie. So you find wives are actually saying jamaa doesn't get satisfied. Jamaa huku pia anasikia wife tu
si tena nyoa nini.
Amechukua double yake, triple yake huko, amesema huyu mzee bana hakuna job amefanya. So eventually, yes, you're incompatible because you cannot satisfy each other, and sex is such an intimate part of marriage that's why any joke about a guy's manhood and a guy's car are no-go zones. Gari ya mzee. Gari hata heri ya kushukisha utembee.
Ni kweli, by the way.
And then jokes about manhood.
Yeah. Both of them are very touchy.
Yes. So guys are going through erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
Because sasa if amekwambia, mazee, utaweza. Mzee ako, nimejaribu my best. So eventually now psychologically you begin to know I'll never be able to satisfy.
Yeah.
And then you hit ED.
Yeah.
Once you hit ED, it's a downward road.
Yeah.
Then now guy realizes when I go out to other girls, it works.
It works.
Because they have never scorned me.
Yeah.
They have never, questioned my manhood.
Yeah.
Where ukusha question. So what happens? That ama and the porn. Here I'm not judged.
Yeah.
So wanapenda tu vile niko. So you find those things and then eventually now the marriage collapses because now sex is out of the equation.
Yeah.
There's judgment on that side of things. And then now, of course, other things now roll in.
Yeah.
And you find guys, we are such a sexualized
society
that if sex is missing or is not to the expected quality. And that's why I was saying expectations. Umelimwa na majama wengine huko mwenda wamekunywa sijui nini. Alafu nakuja hapa hazia na kupatia 10 minutes unamwambia mzee uko na jokes.
Yeah.
But where did you get that experience? Because you went outside of marriage.
Yeah.
For those who, I mean, like you're saying, between you and your wife, this is the best. And I don't know what else is out there because I've never tried. And so you are able to find contentment, because contentment is built on the avenue of, this is what I know.
Yeah.
This is what I desire. Now, could there be other things out there?
Of course.
Yes. But do they add value or do they take away value from you?
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys are really messing up their marriage. And I was telling these young guys, most of you will mess up your marriage before you're even 16.
Because of the things that
you've exposed yourself to, because of the things you've done, because of the kind of relationships you've had. Ushapigwa heartbreak ka 10, by the time unafika 18 when you were veteran.
Yeah.
When mzee alikuwa Iraq. Mko ligi same, mko na PTSD nyinyi wote. Unaangalia boys hivi, ushamshuku 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Unajua boys hapa, there are 10 things that can go wrong with this guy. Even if he's as faithful and as straight and as noble in their pursuit of you as possible. I remember one of my friends actually would tell us, we did the marriage counseling for them. His one lament for like the first 2-3 years of his marriage were like, if I met this girl's former boyfriend, ningemshika wo. Kwa sababu ile damage alipitisha huyu manzi, it took him, in fact, even getting to date her was a problem, because the girl was like, me and guys, I don't trust. 2, dealing now with the baggage of how do I know you won't? How do I know you won't?
And this Jamal, him is just an innocent guy.
Him is a pussy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, manze, in fact, huyu ndo manzi wake wa first. So hata ajuzo mavisanga zimehappening huko nje. Manzi ndo amekam na baggage. And so the guy would constantly, when he's dealing with one thing or another, you're dealing with, sense of security.
Yeah.
How sure am I that you're going to be with me? It's because huyu jamaa amemcheza. How sure am I that you're going to be faithful? Huyu jamaa alikuwa na mamanzi wengine. How sure am I you're not going to be violent? Huyu jamaa alimpiganga wo na ni girlfriend.
Oh, man.
So he had to deal with so many things. And every time he tried to deal with something, he came to realize the common denominator, former boyfriend.
Yeah.
So imagine umekuwa na kinde.
Wow.
Umekuwa na girlfriend. Wale wako kucheza, wale ulilipia school fees, akamarika na teacher on duty. Nimecheki the other day, there was another one again. Jamaa fulani alilipa campus. Alilipia manzi campus. Akamaliza hivi kampo na akamarika na boys mwingine. Jamaa akatokea kwa wedding. Amevuruga kuvuruga. Anasema nimelipa 4 years.
4 years.
Unakuja kumarika na mzee mwingine. Jamaa anamshow legally.
By the way, man. Hapa unasee. Sema ulikuwa tu ni charity.
Sema ni ulijitolea.
What?
So it's those realities that we have to deal with.
I remember as we're talking about porn, there's one popular gospel artist who was struggling with pornography. Na wife yake alikuwa na so akisema mazina enda kubleki, boys anasema anakam. So wife anaenda kwa bedroom, boys amebaki hapo hivyo chini. Sasa ilikuwa time yake ya kujichunga yeye mwenyewe. So ilifika place akimalizia hiyo kitu whatever alikuwa anafanya, mazia akicheki porn, kishafanya visanga zake, aenda kwa bedroom, mazia anaambia wife, hebu tujaribu hii kitu. Wife anasema lakini hii umetoa wapi? Hii umetoa wapi mazia?
Recent research.
So ilibidi amefika place mazia, because ilifika saa place kwa ni crazy. Wife hataki hizi story. Kwa sababu vitu hazia anamwambia jaribu kwa bedroom, msee anacheki haja.
Sisi vitu kwa naambia vijana, unakuja huku unashtua mtoto wa watu. Bure tu. Mtendo umempindua huku unataka kumrusha huku. Simaza shindwa ala. Kwani ni wrestling? It's an extreme sport.
It's almost like an extreme sport.
Unaweza die.
Yeah.
So it's because you've gone and gathered things.
Yeah.
And the Bible talks about keeping the marriage bed pure. It's not just about not bringing another woman or another man to the marriage bed.
Yeah.
It's about bringing thoughts. It's about bringing ideas and ideals that are not birthed in that. And it's not that married guys don't have creativity. But there's tunajua vitu bana.
Ni vile
atusemange ni humility tu. Tutakando vizuri tuongeleshe. Unaweza kusha vitu zingine ridiculous. I don't know. Pastor. Wachungaji siku hizi. Because we know stuff. And it's a God-given gift. So, huwezi kosa kujua, huwezi kosa nini mapua ni ya nini. It's God-given. It's naturally come.
You creativity.
Ushasikia kuku ikiuliza, so what do we do?
Inajua.
Hata nako kakili kadogo.
Inajua vile takanyaga nini.
Inajua vile takanyagia. Na utaiuliza, utaipatia ati, oh, this is the model. No, we know.
Yeah.
And creativity comes. And creativity is built in that intimacy.
And both of you can be creative.
Yes. And there is nothing that you will not be able to know and do. And if you want to learn more, then there are safe places where you can be able to sit down within healthy confines.
Yeah.
And talk about, so what else can we do to spice up? There are guys who actually, like one of my good friends, Pastor Tony Gobanga, is a sexologist.
I was going to say, guys, we're going to think this podcast for today is Mombasa Raha.
Hatuwezi fika hapo. Sisi tumeokoka. Hatuvuti shada, tunakunywa kahawa. Hii ni kahawa, my friends.
Na iko list.
But it's the reality that we are so caught up with these things that we forget that marriage is, I don't even think it's 1% sex. And I was telling these young guys, and I told them, the reality is, if I tell you now that sex, yes, is very critical, but forms a very small portion of your week.
Yeah.
You will think I'm joking, because for a single guy, nafikiria, hey, my friend Kimari, asubuhi.
Hey,
before breakfast, after breakfast, lunchtime tumehepa job. Dani, jioni tumeingia hivi home. Mpaka nilikuwa naambia hata mkitaka kumarika, unafika kwa hao unawachangua kwa gari. Naambia no clothes allowed beyond this point. After 6 months unagundua, my friend, hii kitu ni job. It's a form of self-employment kufanya kitu daily. Hawezi enda job after hiyo. So you realize, maze, you can't go beyond.
Yeah, so kuna expectations zingine wasiingia nazo.
Tuliingia nazo. Ama ukuingia nazo.
Mbaya.
Uliingia mpaka hata most wedding dresses wanga zimeraruliwa kwa nini?
I remember what.
Unajua leo 25 seconds later. Na realize ni kazi ile masose. Unaanza ndio kwani nimeshiba. Nimeshiba na hata sikuwa nimeanza kuzozi. And it's frustrating for people because your wife is like, Allah, that's it. No, therefore, for a boy once ushago imeisha. Nikutulia sasa na kusema okay.
Can I get a newspaper? Na leo headlines connections.
Unaweza kufikiria sasa. So after this, what else?
Yeah.
So ndo sasa ndo nilikuwa naambia,
can I hold you?
Can I hold you? Hata sio umechoka hata utaki kumhold. Uja Blake.
Umekimbia 3 miles.
Na marathon ni 42. My friend, nichakwambia juu ya marathon, nilikimbianga marathon Rwanda. So mimi hapana, nilikimbia half.
Okay.
So
that's still 21k.
21k. My friend, that's when I realized why cars were made. So kulikuwa na marathon ina happen na church yetu iko kwa path ya marathon, so they can't do service. So akatuambia, tukasema maze, badala ya kukaa hapa tumenuna, let's encourage the church to end hiyo marathon. Alafu jioni tukuje service. In fact, and invite guys to nini. So we even did t-shirts embracing the city. Nani yako forefront? Basi Ewagata, wewe ndio utasukuma hii kitu.
Umetoka Kenya.
Kwanza ya Kenya, na unakaa fit.
It's in you.
So nikaenda maze, hype wase wa church, tukaenda MTN, tukapiga hype, wakatupatia forms na wakatuambia this is how you feel, nini tukazileta church. Tukazipeleka, nikaenda kuregister yangu. Maze jamaa kaniangalia hivi. So when I took the other forms and then I was registering. Kaniambia 42. Kwanza nikampatia passport because you register by nationality. Angalia passport Kenyan. Akaangalia height. Akajua huyu. Ndio wale top 3. Akaenda kuandika 42, nikamshoniaje mse. Tafadhali, not 42. Lakini kulikuwa na fun run ya 5 or 10 kilometers.
Like there's a family fun run.
So I was too embarrassed, maze. Angalia height yangu. Angalia nationality. Ndio enda fun run. So nikasema hata nike 21. Keka 21. Sisi sasa tukasema tupige tizi, mimi na boys wangu mwingine aitwa Malaka. Tukakimbia kutoka home mpaka kwa kamlima kingine tukarudi. Tukajiambia hiyo at least ni 10 ama 15. Sikula tulipima na gari. Nika 2.1.
You didn't even do 5K.
We didn't even do 5K. So, that's the only practice we did.
What?
On the Friday. Race ni when? Sunday. Sunday asubuhi sisi yao. Stadium. Fun run wakawachiliwa. Wakaenda. Tukasema wacha watoto watoke. Sisi ndio wale wasi. Haya 21K. Wakarelease 42 because hawa wanaenda longer. 42 wakawachiliwa. Mazee wa Kenya hapo walingoka kungoka. 21. Sisi yao nyuma. Simwachiliwa hapa hivi. Track ya study inaenda paka pale karibu 200 meters, 300 meters ndio mtoke nje ya study. Kabla tutoke study tuchachoka. Hatujatoka study. Bado watu wanatuevia.
Mko ready kumaliza.
That's 10 kilometers guys. Na tujazunguka track hata once. Tukitoka study my friend tunajiambia, kama hiyo ni study ndani.
Alafu nje kuna kwa ile kerere. Mshaflagiwa hapo.
Sisi tukajiambia hapana.
Hakuna speech.
Wacha mafala waende. Sisi tunakimbia nyuma tu pole pole tunajua sisi ndio wale veteran. My friend. By the time toke nje ya stadium sasa tufike kwa road. Najiambia hiyo ni karibu, hiyo ni kaa 10. Inagundua hapana. Hiyo realistically that's like 1.2 kilometers.
What?
Tulikimbia, tukasimama, tukapiga photos, tukanunua soda.
Na mko kwa marathon.
Angalia na hiyo maji unapewa mazee ina sugar bana. Ndio kwa sababu baadaye Coke 2. Mnaenda mkizipiga muongeze sukari, mnachoka zaidi. Tulirudio study. Yaani tulimaliza hivi, hata mamanzi wachache walikuwa wamemaliza mbele yetu. Sasa unaoja, alafu because on your t-shirt you have the
number.
You have the number, but then there's also a chip that now puts you on the list.
Oh, so they can see.
Where you can see your number when you get it. So ukimaliza kana register. So mazee list imeletwa huko church mazee. Ambia wazee wanaanza kunitafuta huko juu. Niko huko down. So when I think my boys pia wana feeling. Unaingia hivi najua hii marathon tunaenda kuchafua. Hata hujafika kwa gate game imeisha. Baadaye unagundua kumbe the race is not to the swift, neither is a battle to the strong. But time and chance happen to all men. And it has happened to you quickly.
But this is good advice that, that guys need to be given.
Yeah, guys, realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Because that unrealistic expectation, then you also set, you do the wrong preparation.
Yeah.
Because you think, and unfortunately, even I was shell-shocked to meet a girl who says, I'm not getting married to a guy who has no experience. And this was a Christian leader.
Wow.
Jamatika na experience. Saki mtu kujaribu ma free sample hapa kwangu atajaribu kulearn vitu.
So yeye anasema
anataka mzee kwa experienced. I sat there, all the thoughts I had about, because we were doing a conversation with these young guys. Yani, she dropped all my notes in the dustbin. Mimi nimekuja hapo nasema purities, ways, preparation, these are the things you need to. Amesema bila experience mimi haunipiti.
Yani everything you want to say.
So I sat there and I was like, and that's what I was saying, a lot of what we think about relationships is very secular.
Yeah.
In as much as we are Christian.
But that's what surrounds us though.
Yes. And because we think there's wisdom in worldly thought. So kama hiyo gava ikisema mazee nyonga mara 2 kwa wiki. For a young guy who is struggling with, their sex drive, because they are at the peak at that stage at 15, 16, 17. It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
But then what they don't realize is later on, the impact of this is ridiculous.
Can you imagine if that report was given for students here, where
many
schools are boarding?
Yes.
If the government released that in Kenya, says boys are at liberty.
It's not boys and girls. What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because masturbation is 2 ways.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine the effect of that on young people in the UK?
Yeah.
And of course, me, I downloaded it from online. In fact, when I was told first, I thought it's a joke. So, I came online and nikatafuta report. I look at it, I'm like, this is the government.
Yeah.
This is a document released. Because in worldly wisdom, it makes sense. This kid avoids getting sexually active.
Yeah.
They avoid diseases. They avoid pregnancy. They avoid entanglement. So it actually makes sense that they have knocked off five risks
Yeah.
by just doing this on their own. But ultimately, it now undoes their lives because, like I was saying, they don't get a new body when you get married.
Yeah.
Now you've already built a routine into your life. You already built a routine of, you sleep with different girls, different guys. You've tried this out, tried that out, and then now you want to be monogamous.
Yeah.
Bible says very clearly, do not be deceived. What God cannot be mocked. Whatsoever you sow, you reap. You've reaped the habit of, lazima game ichezwe left, right, center. Manzi tofauti. Being monogamous becomes that much harder. And what that research showed is that, nilikuwa nakwambia about the relationship between premarital sex and divorce, is that the guys who have been active premarital sex tend to find it harder to stay faithful in marriage. Because how do I shift from, I had 4 or 5 girls to 1?
Yeah.
Not for 1 year, not for 2 years.
For many years.
For a lifetime.
It's something you've cultivated in your life.
Yes, and then now you don't understand why the wife is so upset when you have an affair. Because it was, and I've sat down with guys in a counseling room. Jamaa anaambia wife, manze, it was just physical.
There's nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
There's nothing. I don't love this girl. Wife anakuangalia zile za.
That's not in movies.
No, it's not. Are you hearing yourself? Are you hearing yourself? That it was nothing physical. Do you know what it takes for you to get to the place where you are now naked with somebody? Because in your head, it does not compute, because that's what I've done for the last 15 years of my life. So wewe utakuja kunipimia raha hapa. So for you who has been married pure and to this one wife, sleeping out yani is such a quantum leap.
Yeah.
Yani it's like flying to the moon.
Yeah.
So even if the temptation set itself up, you're asking yourself such fundamental questions that before you take that step, yani you have to debunk your past, which was faithful. You have to debunk your faith, which kept you from that. You have to debunk the routine that you're used to. You have to deal with so many things. Yani mpaka unajiuliza, yani, will I pay all this price?
Yeah. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Will I get what I think I'll get from it? But for the guy who has done it before, it's just like, it's just another page.
Yeah.
So it creates a routine of unfaithfulness. Then again, it creates a sense of, you know what? It was adventurous then, and so it doesn't change.
Yeah.
So you're already in the habit of having this girlfriend here, umezoea kuficha tu vitu hapa, ndio kwa maana simu za majamaa siku hizi ya no-go zones. And you're asking yourself, why exactly is your phone a no-go zone?
Why can't your wife access your phone?
It's because that you've grown up knowing to be a player. The only difference that has changed is that now the player is locked down in a marriage, but the player is still alive. So changing that is so difficult that it takes the grace of God. For a guy to move from that extreme to the extreme of now, I'm faithful to my wife, is a quantum leap. All right? Dealing with those, ilikuwa kama manzi ya yuko ni kunyonga. So if akisema, sijiski, wewe umevuka umenyonga.
Yeah.
Because you never taught yourself self-discipline. To say, okay, fine, I can wait.
Yeah. And I think there's one time I was talking to some young guys and I was telling them that faithfulness does not start when you're married. This is something that you need to practice from a very early stage. So if you're a player, and if you choose to look at women as objects, that's exactly what's going to continue.
That's what your wife will look like.
Exactly, because you've not cultivated faithfulness.
Just that you paid for this object.
Yes.
And brought it home.
And sometimes expensively.
Yes.
And the thing is, if we do not get to that space where that even for us, where we model, and I guess I'm going to go back to where we were talking about earlier, about the importance as well of parenting, where if we do not model these lifestyles for our kids,
hata usiende hapo. Sababu my parents tumechoma.
Bro, there are parents who come to church with their kids, but the kids know.
There's a kid who told the youth pastor, the kid was trying to get fresh with some girls. Mazee amekatia huyu. Pasi akakuja kamuita kando akamshow, you need to chill out on this.
Yeah.
You know the boy told her, go tell my dad. Pasi akaangalia kwanza, ndio ile unajaribu kudownload your file inakata kudownload because you don't want to deal with the reality of what you've been told.
Yeah.
And the guy is like, yeah, my dad is a player na ako pale church.
Maybe hata yeye ni elder.
I will not say more.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But it's the reality. Many, and we've dealt with cases, some of those even we know, common friends who we know the dad was abusive. Anapiga wife na Sunday morning ako pale ameshikilia Holy Communion, yenda na serve na pasi.
Wow.
Na amebata wife the night before, ama the morning wameingia kwa gari na amesema kila mtu saa 1:30 mko kwa gari. He's angry, he's aggressive, lakini akifika church respected.
Yeah.
And that is where the rubber is meeting the road for most of these young guys, because they know home.
Yeah.
And I kept telling parents, you know, when we tell you, listen, your marriage is not about you and your wife. You're basically setting, because the first school of relationships and humanity is the home. For your kid to overcome what you have exposed them to in their childhood, it will take the grace of God in buckets and troughs for them to be able to overcome what they have seen, because it leaves a mark that nothing else does. That's why the Muslims are very clear with the madrasa. They're like, if I can get this kid to understand this book by 7 years, I can let them go to any part of the world.
Yeah.
So think about the impact of those 7 years to 10 years.
First 7 years, what the
first 7 years of a kid's experience in a home. It sets them up. So the player knows is built at home, you know? The violent is built at home. And many times we think we've run away from our parents because of this, and we marry exactly. There's a friend of ours who hated how the dad was. Alikuwa jamaa kuchutia tu home, kumangia tu kwa wife. He married a split image of the dad. Siku ile aligundua, yani she could not believe. But we are like, you know what, you made your choice.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is that the guy is not a bad guy. But he just doesn't push himself to go out there. But he's a good father.
Oh, wow.
I'm saying, just choose your bacon and eat it.
That's interesting that she married a split
image of the
wow.
dad. Now, the difference between the dad and this guy is that this guy was a very good father. Took care of the kids. Lakini atukwenda sijui enda job.
Hakuna.
Hana priority.
Yeah.
Atafanya job moja mbili hapa. But the wife had lots of money. So jamaa kamshow say, this guy is faithful. 2, he's an amazing parent. Yani the way he nurtures, takes care of those kids.
Oh, wow.
But you see now, what you're resenting is what you saw in your father. It's not even what you're seeing in this guy.
Probably this guy is not even a bad guy.
And many of us, if you check nicely, the image that you have of your spouse is reflected on the image you have of your mother. There are certain similarities, because this is the symbol of love. This is the symbol of relationship for you. This is the symbol of intimacy for you. This woman. You know, that's why Mkenya anaangalia hivi anasema hata nikienda US na mari Mkenya. Because it's easy to lock into those subtle nuances are very easy to connect with a Kenyan.
And things that you have in common.
Yes,
or what
you have a lot
seen,
in common. So it's ridiculous how that happens. But that just tells you we need to model for our children. Our children are watching us. They are learning from us. And from there now, they will make their choices.
Yeah. And I think, you know, for when it comes to parenting and when it comes to parents engaging with their kids, one of the things that my wife and I always talk about, even though sometimes we're not very successful in it, is even how we handle conflict.
Watu wa kurusha machupa.
Okay, no, hatufikagi hapo. You know.
Bang mlango.
You know, because we're very careful how we handle those things, because we're modeling something for our kids.
Yes.
And the first place that kids will learn about life, about how to deal with issues of life, it's from home. And I do know that we have guys who are listening to this or watching this who are also single parents. But even for the single parents, they need to know that your kids are watching you.
It's a struggle, because I think I like the words that Jesus said when he was asked about divorce. He says, Moses allowed you to divorce, but it was not so from the beginning. But he allowed it was not the intention. But and then he goes on and says it's because of your hardness of heart. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to a marriage, there are two hearts. So one heart could be willing.
Yeah, the
The
other
other
one.
heart was hardened. And
Yeah.
most of the times, it's the heart that is willing that shows up on our desks to say, I need to be helped with parenting.
Yes.
And the hardened heart ikiendanga huko ikichafua.
Yeah.
And sometimes you deal with people and you're like, especially when kids get to the teens.
Yeah.
And the kids begin to ask for their fathers or their mothers. That quest.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a drug, eh? The moment it starts gnawing on your heart, you can't stop it. So parents will pacify and tell the kids, no, you know, we love you the way you are, you know, I'm your mother, I'll take care of you, and da 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 da. And then one day the kid wakes up, and there was a media personality who actually went on a quest to look for her father. A lady, I think she's about 40. She just woke up and told the mother, I need to know where my father is. The mother thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? There are so many things I can't answer.
Wow. Because this guy is not...
there's a part of me that I feel is missing. And when God talks about, you know, identity, you know, even giving us a name and calling God the Father, and that identity that we get from that, and which is what he's imputed on a father biologically here. We don't understand the power of that. That's why I say, even for a youth pastor, however much you try, however good you are, you can never outdo a father's voice, a mother's voice. So many times when people are, you know, divorcing, separating, you don't realize the gravity of not having a father figure in this kid's life. And so when the kid hits teens, they begin to ask whether you've provided them with everything or not, whether you have, you know, even if you've married and you have another father in the house, the kid is like, okay, I want to know my biological father.
So what's your advice for guys in this? Because I know that we have many single parents. This is so...
It's hard because sometimes there's good reasons. Yeah, there's good reasons why you left or why you are left. Because this guy just decided he's gone. He doesn't want anything. And we've dealt with cases like this.
But imagine, but you can't tell the kid this guy never wanted anything to do with you.
Now,
that would damage.
Let me tell you, the brokenness. That's when you realize what the fall of man did. We had more internal injuries than we had external injuries. You know?
Yeah.
Like ridiculous things. Like a guy will actually say those words and say, I don't want you. I don't want these kids.
Yeah.
And even say to the kids, says, Kwendeni ugo.
Siwataki.
Siwataki. And any effort to see him or meet with him will be met with wrath.
Wow.
So there are kids who have actually gone through that. Wow. There are spouses who have been left in that sense. Now, does that change the quest?
No.
Because in nika true north. You have to find the true north for you to know your direction in life. So the voice, the presence of a parent, you know, you'd rather show them the grave. It's easier to show a child the grave and say, this is where your father lies, than to tell them your father is somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
And they say the pain of divorce is actually deeper than the pain of death of a spouse. It's easy to explain it.
Yes.
It's natural. Painful, yes, but natural and has a sense of closure. And so I tell parents, you know what? Even with all the efforts, the same thing like the youth pastor, even with all the efforts, even if you bring the A1 father, stepfather, or the A1 stepmother who loves these kids to bits, those kids still go and say, you know what, this is not my mother. This is not my father. And they will look for their mother, look for their father. And sometimes just to see them.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's go back to life. And their mind resolves. Nika vile una plug in what is it called? USB charger or something. You connect it and it draws power. And once it's done, inatoka hapo hivyo inaenda inaendelea kufunction. This kid just corrects and just goes on his life. They might never even get in touch with the parent again. Or if they get in touch, it's just for cordial. And for some, they actually reconnect and reconcile. And eventually, when this father, because you're growing older, needs her help, these kids go actually and help their father to the grave.
Which is very interesting.
It's that bond. And that's why I tell guys, before you step out of our child's life, ask yourself, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how good the reason was for you to leave their mother
Mm-hmm.
or even to leave the children.
Mm-hmm.
The impact that you leave in this kid's life is almost eternal.
Yeah.
For some, even reconciling with God as a good father becomes hard because they're like, I've tasted an earthly father. Kama huyo wa Mungu pia ni father.
Yeah, sijui hapa.
And I've dealt with people who have said that because God is the heavenly father and my father biological did this to me.
They can't. They can't. They want to get to know God, but at the same time, it's like
sasa hapa ndipo watu walianza kusema God the mother.
Yes.
The motherhood of God. Because they're like, no, we can't have father only.
Yeah.
We want to connect with God, but father is not a good term to go with.
Especially because of what they've gone through.
Yes, because of what they've gone through.
Yeah. I mean, it still blows my mind away that even after this many years and all this, in fact, we've not even dived into many issues that the young people are dealing with, that she's still committed to the youth ministry, man.
It's a joy.
Are you sure?
It's what wakes me up in the morning. Kudili na wazae ni ngumu.
Yeah.
Mabuda, unajua shida ya Mambuyu. They already finished material.
Yeah.
You cannot upgrade a car.
No.
To a certain level. And unfortunately, a lot of what we do with adults is maintenance.
Yeah.
If the guy was good from birth, you have a good man.
Yeah.
If he was good as a young person, you have a good adult.
Yeah.
So where the rubber meets the road is here, the in-between. And that is why, even if you look at the world, look at corporates, look at business people, their number one place of interest is youth.
Yeah.
Their biggest commitment is to find out where are the young people spending time, whether online or who do they or calling or what they watch, because they know if we get these guys here, we have them for a lifetime. That's why the alcohol companies can lie to us about, a sale of alcohol is not suitable for children under 18. But their highest prayer in those boardrooms
how can we get
these kids to drink?
Yeah.
Now, note, the sale of alcohol is what is illegal. But
Not
they
the
don't say
consumption.
anything about the distribution and consumption. So if I buy alcohol and bring to teenagers here, it's not illegal. Now, they will never deal with that clause.
Yeah.
Why? Because they know if the moment that clause is clarified, then we have a problem.
Yes.
Because any child found with alcohol or found drunk is culpable.
Yes.
But as long as they have no receipt to show, then no one is culpable. So that's where the drama is. The telcos are trying to get these kids to be online. If porn is what sells, that's why porn cannot be regulated globally.
Yeah.
Globally, because I think Kenya is number 2.
In what?
In consumption of porn. Wow. And guess what? We are the one country that women watch more porn than men. Yes.
Please share that stat with me, tafadhali.
The women...
I need that report.
I'll look for it. Yes. Actually, Ernest Wamboy was talking about it at some point as well. Women watch more porn than men in Kenya. We are amongst the highest consumers of porn. That is why that is successful. It's like the alcohol of...
No, I'm sorry. That's crazy though. You know, let me say, there's a time I was bonding with some students in high school. And so like these kids all had phones. And when I asked them, what are you guys watching? Porn.
Yeah.
And there was one kid who did not have a phone. Actually, I was having this conversation again yesterday. And this kid who did not have a phone, the rest of the boys were making fun of him as being gay.
What?
Because they can't share porn with him. When this kid goes home,
yes,
he's in a safe space. He does not have a phone. But the masculinity of these other boys was being defined
by the ability to watch.
The ability that they had porn on their phones.
Yeah. And it's not just Christians. No, I mean non-Christians.
Yeah.
Even amongst believers.
Yes.
And so what porn has done for telcos is just increased traffic.
Wow.
All right? And there are statistics. I mean, like, even by different providers, you know, Pornhub, who. Yani, they're like, this is the highest. And during COVID, it went through the roof. through the roof.
That's crazy.
Like the porn companies were floating when others were sinking. And of course the telcos, because now everyone went online.
Yes.
And when they went online, we opened up our iPads for our kids.
Now they had access to
Yes,
all
because
this.
now the education went online.
Yeah.
And so it allowed them to again access gadgets. Even for myself, my kids had said by 18 ndo mnapata masimu ama nini. But now school went online.
Yeah, COVID.
So I had to buy a laptop for my son.
Yeah.
Because he was a student, he was a candidate. I had to allow the others access to the gadgets, because now for them to be able to learn, they needed to go online and get information. Of course, we tried to curate it, but fortunately for us, we are we are passes, so we didn't have to go to work every day, or
so
at least so we could we spend time with our kids at home.
Yeah.
But for many parents who still had to go out to the grind, you've left 3 laptops in the house.
Oh man. And these kids left to themselves, their imagination.
Disaster.
Yeah.
And that's why there was a story of a lady whose kids started sleeping with each other, and the guy made 2 sisters pregnant. You read that story?
Yeah.
Because guys, after watching porn,
unfortunately.
Yeah. And then also Kenyans we have the highest number of, in fact, EABL says their success during that period was from women consumers of alcohol. Yeah. So mamazi wakaanza kukunywa kuwatch porn.
2 recipes.
Number 1 and number 2 in the country. Biggest taxpayers.
That's crazy.
And so it's ridiculous because you can imagine these are not fairies in the air. These are people's mothers. Yeah. These are people's sisters, people's daughters. These are people's fathers, people's sons, people's husbands. When that is happening, what is happening in the fabric? No wonder. And then, of course, now our FM stations don't help.
Yeah.
With all these talks about, very lurid conversations on sexuality and normalizing what should not be normalized. Yeah. So guys walk, and I think I was asking these young guys, so who is your pastor? If every morning, let's say you live in Ngong, you spend 2 hours in traffic.
You're listening to someone.
2 or 3 hours. Most of our mathries are on one FM station or another. Listening to Obina, listening to Kengangi, listening to who. For 3 hours, you're listening to this guy. 2 hours, morning. Then, Sunday morning, you're in church. You listen to Pastor Mose for 45 minutes. and half of it umeza kudoze.
Hey.
Who is your pastor?
Yeah. Who are you listening to?
Who is your pastor?
Yeah.
No, between the two, who is your pastor? This guy speaks to you 5 days, 2 hours.
And then this other guy who's coming.
So the guy, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And so the discipleship is about hearing. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. And folly comes by hearing, and hearing the principles of the world. Yeah. And so these guys are talking about those principles. So what happens? The families, even the good guys are like, why are we good?
Yeah.
Question.
There's actually one time I was talking to so my wife told me that one of our colleagues said that she would never, and this is before, not where the organization is working with right now. Yeah. She had said actually that she will never get married because of what she's heard on the radio. Yeah. She's like, I'm okay being single. I cannot deal with this drama. Yeah.
But then the way God has wired us, unaruka kifarao, alafu after you realize, hey, roho inapenda. Of course, culture is also pushing.
Yeah.
And I look at young guys. We were at a camp. We've been in camps the last 2 weeks. And we were with teens 2 weeks ago. Maze kukatiana ile inaendelea kwa hiyo kiwanja.
Hi, bro. Hey. But that's the life of that age,
it had been a while before I saw guys doing those glances. Unapita hata muongei, unaangaliana tu. And then, of course, they'd come and tell me. Some of those young guys are from our church.
Yeah.
So, they'd come and tell me, hey, umecheki vile nani mazi kuna boys fulani akimwangalia. Angalia. And then the guy passes and you just see the awkwardness of that. Those tensions of those Indian movies, eh? Zubidubi, pampara. Man, I'm like, wait, these things still happen.
Yeah.
With all the drama in marriages, you guys are still clobbering the ground, falling in love like this. You've not listened to FM stations. You've not read the 411 on what marriage is like. So it's like every generation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your parents do.
Yeah.
You are wired.
You're wired to fall in love.
You're wired for it. Yeah. You will trip that wire at one point or another. So even those guys who are sworn, they think, me, X.
Itauki mazee hapo kishiko unashikamana mbaya.
Yaani jamaa mpaka unauliza this guy could fall in love. So yesterday I bumped into a guy who was a student of mine. And then he introduces me to his girlfriend. So I laughed. I was like, hey, all things are possible. Because he was those chilled out guys, yani. You never even saw him hang out with girls. He was a class rep in his year. So I'm like, boss, all things are possible. You know? So you don't know when the bug bites.
Yeah.
Even for those who have come from very abusive relationships, families, where the parents it was mess after mess.
Yeah.
Jamaa nagonga tu hivi kakloka nagonga hivi unasikia I want to get married. So you're like, haven't you seen enough? No, because you're wired for this and God created us to desire this institution. And so regardless of what happens in our lives, regardless of the pain we go through, there's just a clock that says this is time to zero in on our marriage.
Yeah.
This is time to zero in on a relationship. Now the question is, what's the quality?
Yeah. And I think not just the quality of the marriage, but then also it's important that people know how to establish a good relationship. Again, it won't start at marriage.
Yes.
I think it's important that guys
what's the quality of relationships that you build?
Yeah. What kind of man are you? What kind of woman are you? You know, what kind of a friend are you? Either to your girlfriend that you're dating right now,
or to the girls, not just generally.
Yeah.
Because I tell guys, you learn to socialize in community.
Yes.
You don't learn to socialize in relationship.
You need
to
be...
how we hang out with guys here and how we talk. We are playing football. Yeah. Am I violent? Am I passive aggressive? Yeah. When I meet with girls, how do I talk to them? Kazi yangu ni kuwakatia kila saa. Kuna boys moja alikatia sisters wote. And then no girls talk. So akatia huyu kakataa, akatoka hapa akaenda kwa huyu mwingine kakataa, akatoka akaenda kwa huyu mwingine. By the time anafikia wanne, wote washajua huyu jamaa kazi yake ni kutukatia. So what are you doing in those conversations? Yeah. All right? And so out of that, now then you begin to now select when you learn how to live with these ladies, because you will not treat your girlfriend or your wife differently from how you treat ladies.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be intimate, but on the general, the conversations, the way you talk to girls, your attitude towards girls, your attitude towards their issues. Kama mamanzi wanakuanga tu na kuchocha.
Yeah.
Then even your wife atakuwa tu na kuchocha in your head.
Yeah, even some of those stereotypes, you know, like all men are dogs or you know, men are players.
Yes.
Those are things that you...
So you have to resolve that within fellowship. And I was telling them, the healthier the fellowship, because we mostly marry from our community.
Yeah.
We met our wives kwa church, kwa fellow. Kama hiyo fellow ilikuwa ya maplayer.
Oh, yeah.
Bas. Ataingia tu na hiyo same, all men are dogs. If that fellowship had people who said, we live by a standard, then out of that fellowship now, you begin to harvest people who have a standard.
Yeah.
They may have come from schools or communities where guys are players, but they come and find a community of people. So I keep telling guys, that community of church that you have, are they faithful? Are they upright? Wachana kutuambia hapa, we are all in the same church. Kwa sababu tumeona watu wa church.
Na si wote wazuri.
In fact, wale wanoma wako. Na zingine wako in leadership. So that I clean because before you get saved, of course, you have the worldly perspective. Yeah. That's why Romans 12 talks about do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world. Yeah. So you were once darkness.
There was once a pattern that you had.
There was once a pattern. There was once an attitude. There was once a way that you looked at women. And that way has to be changed as you interact with God.
Yeah.
And as you learn to interact rightly with women.
Yeah.
So that ukikana manzi hapa, your first thought is not namuingizaje box. It's a perspective. All right? And then now, from there now, you learn to respect both the women and the men alike. So that the way you handle yourself, you learn to be accountable.
Yeah.
You build accountability. And then from there now, when you start dating, you still remain respectable. You still remain accountable. You still remain connected to the community, and build into your marriage, knowing that this community, and most of us, the guys who we work with and help us in our marriages, even the guys who counsel with us, we knew eons ago. And they're still there. You can bounce back with this person and say, hey, kimeumana hapa mazee nimejamisha wife na sijui nitafanya nini na Rosie. Sasa hebu kama tusaidie.
Najua kitu moja, one of the things that's definitely missing amongst us or I'm very careful not to generalize things, but let me also just put it out there and say that accountability without honesty ni makaratasi, matope, ngeli ya maa.
It's useless. If I don't know what you're up to?
So msena kwambe ati who are you accountable to? Me, me I'm accountable to Ewags. But I only tell you the things that your ears need to hear.
Wachana na hiyo, hata mimi sijui you're accountable to me. But this has happened a lot.
Yeah.
I'm mentored. I was mentored by Ewagata. They're not saying whether they don't mean I'm mentored by.
Yeah. And those are guys, even you have no idea.
So when something goes wrong, is when now like you call me and say, hey, maze kuna boys fulani tumekuwa naye hapa, anasema umementa na amechoma.
Yeah.
Si uongee naye nakuza nani? Ati nani? Ndio msasa jamuona for 4 years.
Na nasema ndio.
Lakini
yeah.
Because we fear accountability.
Yes.
And I tell people, if you're like you're saying, if you're not willing to be honest, if you're not willing to be vulnerable, in fact, that's the word, to be vulnerable, to expose your soft tissue, if you're not willing to be called to book, ile ya Mozi, hii ni ufala.
Yeah.
Na sisi tusema aunilipi, aunilishi, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
When we make a little money,
by the way, yeah,
we only are accountable as far as we are dependent.
Kakiburi kakishaingia.
Yeah, kadoka mengi hivi, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
Not just with artists, I've seen it now with pastors.
Yeah.
Kakanisa kakue kidogo, pembe zinamea, hauambiliki.
When bishops sasa.
Mimi naongeanga na Mungu utaniambia nini? And you know that was the story of Branham, The Branhamites. This guy bana used to talk to God, mlango inakata kufunguka. The guy is in the room for 3 days. He has not locked the door, but you can't open. God is with him.
What?
Like that guy moved in the miraculous, the incredible.
Yeah.
So time moja mazee jamaa kaanza kuteach doctrine, akatoa hata Bible kando akaandika hiyo the book of Branham. Majamaa anamwambia, "Hey boss, this is extra biblical teaching."
Yeah.
Jamaa akamwambia, "Nyinyi mmekuja kwangu, nikiongea na Mungu mnaweza ingia kwa hiyo room?" Hapana. Mimi mtu naongeanga na Mungu anawafungia nje. Mtaniambia nini?
Yeah.
Maelders wakapiga akasema sawa. But eventually the guy went completely apostate and formed a cult that is here with us to this day. Why? Because he refused to be accountable.
Yeah.
And sometimes for many of us who are in ministry or are pastors, accountability is so hard because one, everybody expects you to have the answers.
Yeah.
Everybody expects you to know how to live with your wife, how to live with people. And so, hata by the time unakuja kuuliza Moses mazee nasikia kuna watu wanaangalia wanasema ai hapana Moses. And then pia wewe umekaa because you've built this aura around you. You're like nobody can tell me.
Yeah. Nobody can ask me anything.
Nobody can ask me.
Alafu vile unasema mimi na go tuko siko sawa.
Mimi nikienda stage ni ubiri watu wanaokoka 200, wewe umehubiri wapi watu wako?
When was the last time you preach ya msaka ukoka?
With last invitation ulipata hata tu. Hata person to person ushapigwa.
But let me also say, and because I think we've talked a lot about relationships today, that the importance of accountability cannot be treated lightly. Kwa sababu I do know that many relationships that I've seen crumbling is because there was no accountability.
Lack of accountability is the worst weakness. So you think accountability is weakness.
Yeah.
Nikuja kuambia mazee ni adili na hii. But the lack of accountability is the worst weakness because it exposes you with no one to treat. It's like refusing to go to hospital.
Yeah.
You know, we were watching a video about India, the snakes, and cobra huko zinakuanga kila mahali. Unaenda kuingia bed unakutana na cobra imelala. You know?
Inakutegea na kuambia hata nimekuumia bed.
Nimekuumia. Kaa tu hapo tu hivi. Unataka nikuume wapi? Choose a spot. So literally, so and then the Indians also have a lot of traditional medicine. So the guys are like, Jamal, so one of them was actually he used to be a charmer, then sometimes they hunt snakes to extract the venom for making anti-venom. So it's business. So yeye mazee amepigwa mabite mara kadhaa. So jamaa akasema siku moja mazee snake ilimbite, akaenda sijui ati kujitibu mtaani na hizo madawa zao. Karibu wago. So day 2, wazao akaanza kuona mzee sasa mwili inaanza kurot. Ndio kuna poison zingine unaanza kurot kama bado uko alive. Wakamkimbiza hosi. Akapigwa antivenom nini. Akarecover. So alikuwa anaambia wase, guys, if you are bitten by a snake, don't forget about the Indian medicine. Go to hospital.
Yeah.
I'm an Indian doctor. I'm telling you, go to hospital. Don't wait and try to do those things in the house. Because I realized, maze, there's cures that these guys, they think the white medicine, for lack of a better word, has, that maze si tunajaribu. And that's what accountability is.
Yeah.
It's about knowing where to run. Immediately, you are beaten.
Yeah.
And they're saying, this is it. So kwa sababu wao ndio walikuwa na jet juu na kata mzee ananyonya. Ushasikiza story?
Yeah.
Tukimwa na nyoka una bite alafu
unafinya alafu
una
suck, yeah.
Alafu una spit out. Friend,
Buddha.
wewe na huyo mzee alinyonya.
Usiseme kitu, man. There's one time, let me put this out. Nimeenda camping. Sipeenda camping kama familia. So tumeenda camping
mabushi.
Kuna mabushi.
Sisi wa Afrika lazima tuende kwa hoteli. Ni mabushi mnaenda kwa msituni. Msituni tuligroya msituni.
Bro,
alafu story yako.
In fact, kiongea na my parents wengine mwambie, sipeenda kwenda camping. Wa Afrika sipendi camping pamoja. Au niambia azi. Not where we've reached now.
Kuna base yangu alipelekwa camp. Sasa kwanza ni kwa island. Na hiyo boat inakujanga once a week. Uko UG. So you know UG has a lot of water bodies.
Yeah.
So mlami ashawaambia, oh, this is amazing place. Mimi nishasema kitu, mlami akikwambia kuna place poa, chunga. Hapa Afrika, chunga. Jamaa jaenda. Wamepiga budgets nini wameenda na family.
Yeah.
Boat imewa drop. My friend, kwanza ni island.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes ziko huko ka 10 billion. Manze kuna maani, masauti. Alafu tents bana. Hakuna maji moto. Uko na watoi na madiapers. Hakuna kuka. We're gonna have a fireplace, man. We're just gonna boil our water. We're gonna go organic. Boss. Nimefanya job kuja kuishi hapa ka shosho.
We're going to go organic.
This is not organic. This is where we came from. This is what we ran away from. The animals are walking around, my friend. Sisi nilipata nguo imekulwa na hippo. Zimekulwa. Hiyo wiki mnatembea tup. Natuambia hapa we're going organic. What is organic? Haya, maliza story yako.
Fuck, asante kwa kusaidia kuunderstand kwa nini Afrika wenzangu wapendi kwenda camping. Hawapendi.
Hawacha kujua.
Kisha mazi tuendeni camping wasema azi. In fact tuko busy.
Wewe na TC tu.
Hey. But tumeenda kazi ya Buddha. Tunaongea historia ya poison. So tumeenda camping, man. So mimi nimeshikilia baraka. It's like 7 o'clock, shaka fireplace hapo hivyo, nachukua makuni naziekelea ndani. Ndio kama moto kashike poa, si ndio? So 7:30 Baraka anasema nataka kwenda kulala. Mimi nikamchukua mazeni, kaingia naye kwa tent, kafungua. Alafu tent yangu ni 2 bedrooms. Iko mpaka na sitting room. Hiyo naweza kudunga bure.
Iko na hochawa.
Haijafika hapo.
Sawa, endelea kujenga.
Shafungua kazi kwa hivyo sasa kwa sitting room. Ni space ya katikati tu. Kafungua zip ya pili, sasa ingia kwa room yake. Alafu nikafikiria wacha niangalie nini kwa mgongo yangu. Sasa nikafanya tu hivi. Mazeni nikasikia nimechapoa nimedungwa na kitu mazee hapa hivi kwa mkono. Pain nyingine siwezi kuexplainia. Pain siwezi, yani ridiculous pain, man. Alafu nikashindwa nini sasa hiyo mazee. Nikafikiria wacha nitoe hii hoodie niangalie nini imehappen. Mazeni nikachapoa
sting
2 kwa tumbo. Pap. Nikashindwa nini hii sasa, hii ni wazimu gani, man? So kuinua hoodie hivi na cheki scorpion nikakuwa hapa hivi mbele yangu Buddha. Alafu inafanya hivi na nini?
Umepigwa sting 3 na scorpion.
Sting 3 mazee.
Msewe ni zibu.
Haijamaliza na mimi Buddha. Haijamaliza na mimi, man. So ndio nikaigonga sasa ikaanguka chini. Ikaanguka chini mimi nayo, man. So bro, that pain.
Ukikanyaga.
Ai mbaya. Haiwezi survive.
Huko kwa mguu.
Ilisha na pati, kwanza nilikuwa nimedunga pati. So hata ingenipata mazeni tena.
Uliumwa na scorpion.
Buddha stings 3. Ewags nakwambia the pain is, I can't even tell you, man. I can't tell you. Alafu, man, nilisikia tu mkono yangu tu imeanza tu kuwa numb. Alafu sasa nikaita Wambasa huyo mtani nikamwambia nini imehappen. Sasa pale kwanza nilipiga nduru nyingine.
Sakajua.
Sakajua boys ameishia.
Unaona kwa nini muka 6th floor kwa building? 6th floor uko juu.
Nikwambie. Hata siku najua niko na hiyo high pitch hivyo.
Soprano.
Hey. Nduru ilitoka pale. Alafu ilikuwa ya kwanza kupigwa zingine mbili. Hizo ni nduru zingine sasa zinatoka man. But we were talking about vile wasi udungwa na hizi vitu, si ndio? Because times zingine man, you know, we mess around with sin.
Yo, how did you survive fast? When that jamani your story. Mimi nataka kujua.
Kwanza niko nayo hapa hivi sasa. Osen nikitoa maseka niambia, hiyo ni kawaida. Hii uchungu itashin 24 hours. Hii relax, tutakuwa tu sawa. Like hiyo night sikulala poa man. Nilirepent tena na tena.
Hiyo uchungu ndio ishangi. It's supposed to be do with that's 48 hours.
Yeah, you still feel the numbness. Yes. Like I could feel the numbness on my hand and on my stomach. Kwanza hizo tumbo sali kwanza hii inafika kwa roho haraka haraka.
Awe ni zebu. Ni resistant breed. Mimi bezangu moja alipigwa na, but unajua kuna difference ya scorpion ya Kajiado na scorpion ya South Sudan.
Kuna
za brown na kuna black. Wewe think alipigwa na ya black. Buda aliumwa for 2 days, 48 hours. Uchungu tu ina change. Hapa inakuja inachemsha, hapa inakuja ina fry. Inakuja inakuwa dry fry. Mzee anasema alilia, alafu alikuwa na document, anaziandika Facebook. Anasema now the pain has changed. Sasa unasikia joto, alafu unasikia baridi, unadhani sasa unakufa. Hii ni baridi ya kuzima.
Alikuwa anaandika memo yake ndio akishia mjue nini imemaliza.
Pole pole. Alafu unadhani mnaenda kuzimika. Inakuja na kuchukua tena kurudisha juu. My friend, that's why ndio kama tuna work hard. Kwa avoid kwenda hizo places unaenda.
But I still love camping man.
My friend.
Kingine maze tumeenda camping bado. Kuna so mtoi wa besti yangu akatoka nje. Anasema there's a snake. Anasema tu hivyo. Guys, there's a snake coming towards your tent. Moz, there's a snake coming towards your tent. So mkutoka nje mazina chiki snake ya brown kiko like 1 meter man. Inakuja kwa tent. Na tena nimeenda kuweka watoi chini wala.
Si mimi na tent nimebeba hivi nimekimbia naye.
Man, Buda, hata jini to wapi yo courage. Nilishikia snake na mguu. Nikairusha na huko maze kama vile mtu scoop ball. Ukipass ball hivyo. Nikairushanisha na huko alafu nikaenda kutafuta kijiti nimalizane nayo.
Okay, mada.
Quick.
Amaze msewe wewe ni Navy SEAL.
Anyway, wacha niseme hivi kumalizia hii kitu. Kuna dem fulani. Alikuwa unajua vile walami. Hizi vitu utaonagi na Waafrika by the way.
Mwafrika kitu kayo tayari mimi nikishasikia kuna snakes kwa hii area unless tent yangu iko juu ya ama ina float. Unaweka kwa nini kwa bag? Kwa nini kwa inaitwa nini ile hot air balloon? Mimi nalala kwa hot air balloon. Hata gari sikai ndani.
So kuna mlami vile uko na ma pet snakes. Sasa mchukua analea python. And I feed to daily. Alafu time hiyo python kuja na lala na yeye. Imagine. True story bro. Analala hapa hivi.
Python iko hapo
kando. Python next. Siangetafuta 2 boys. Anyway. So anafeel tu hiki pole.
Wacha nisi sound racist.
So anafeed kitu tu daily. Ina grow tu. Alafu ikafika point hii snake ikacha kudishi. Hivyo tu. Ikacha tu kukula siku ya kwanza idishi. Ya pili haidishi. Ya tatu haidishi. So, I'm pet lovers najua vile wako. Say, hey, my snake is not feeling well. Yeah, let me take it to the vet. So, kaipeleka kwa vet wa ma snakes. Vet akamwambia, at historia hii snake ni nini? Hii snake haijakuwa ikidishi madhe for the last 3 days haijakuwa ikidishi. Akamwambia, yani, umeleta hii snake at just the right time. Kwa sababu hii snake ilikuwa inakuotea sasa.
Inapanga kukumanga.
Ilikuwa inapanga kukumanga.
Kana fast ndio hizo CD.
Ndio hiyo sasa. Kwa unajua kidishi, unajua snake kidishi poa inaweza maintain for a long time bila kudishi. Si ndio? So in fact maybe it was not even 3 days. But whatever duration that snake took without eating, akipatia food. Ilikuwa inasema maze ilikuwa inakusize. Inakutegea. Wewe ndio ulikuwa the next meal.
Sina kwamba ndio kama na mimi nasema hizi vitu zenyu za walami sijui nini camping sijui buda chezea kwa hoteli 17th floor.
So
hata mosquito ilikuja huko iko dizzy hata hizi piga nduru. Iko na air sickness.
So mimi nasema hivi kwambia wase, you know, the thing about sin ni kuwa inakaga poa. Inakaga poa saa zile mazee tunajienjoy nayo. Lakini mazee plan yake tu ni moja tu. Ni kukumanga tu. Na ikumalize.
The end is bitter.
Nitakumaliza wewe na kitu na everything uko nayo.
And that's where we are losing it.
Yeah.
Countries that have realized it. If you go to Australia now, you cannot transfer a spouse without written consent of the spouse. So kama sasa mdosi wako anataka kutransfer, wife lazima assign. Because if you don't, mtalipa huyo wife damages na mtamhamisha kwa hiyo city pali hazia ameenda on full pay that she was earning there. Hakuna story ya argument nini watoi to the best school in that region. Tampeleka. Because what they realize is they messed up. And this happens because we're in a race to develop. We are trying to get out of the third world. Tukaribu kuingia fourth huko hata. So you work hard to build the country and then you forget that the children will live in that country. And so a lot of these Western nations have realized that and they have put emphasis on family. So any place you stay now, and that's why they say Australia is one of the best countries in the world to live in. That one, you cannot take your kids to a school anything more than, I think, is it 15 minutes drive from home.
Wow. So they have to be in close proximity.
Which means in any place where you live, there's a good school within 15 minutes.
Wow.
So we say, Mateo, mimi natoa mtoi wangu hapa napeleka Riara.
Wewe vile Kenya wasi Northeastern analetwa Layo.
Na amekuja na Land Rover. Umerusha kwa gari ukifika chuo hata ukumbuki kauli lala. Hata wacha na. Ronga. When ama nini Athi River, we used to live in Athi River. Kids were being picked from school at 5 a.m.
To go where?
Si school bus lazima ichapelape anzia Athi River, iende Kite, ikuje ipite sio Kimau, irudi ipeleke watu wapi? Riara.
Wow.
By the time mtu anafika chuo, amechapa 2 to 3 hours drive. Because that was the first kid I think to be picked. So dereva anaanza naye akitoka hapo. Akienda paka across town. Jioni ataingia home 7 at earliest.
That kid has no time to.
There's no kid. No. Of course na parent naye alitoka 5:15. So pia kabla afike tao lazima ilikuwa naangalianga hiyo Mombasa Road asubuhi magari zinapelekwa ni kazi ko race. Because lazima mbitu wase wa Nyayo kabla watoke. Wase wa Nyayo wanatokanga karibu 6. Alafu mbitu wase wa South B kabla watoke. So unaingia tao 7. Sasa hao ndo wanakuanga wamejaza morning glory hapo tao. Kwa sababu unaingia tao unaona acha kwanza nishike baba. Watu wako hawakuoni. Wife hakuoni. Kama mko lucky mko kwa gari na sasa bado mmejaa mama bado mnasikia usingizi. Because I stayed there and I brought my kids to Thika Road for about a month or 2. I was like,
this is madness.
It's madness.
It's madness, man.
I'd rather pay twice of what I'm paying there and move close to my kids' school. Because the government has never thought that it's valuable for them to create an environment where kids and parents can be in close proximity. We don't value. Na tena chuo, ikifika 3, kama uko na watu hii, you are allowed legally to leave to go and pick them from school. Hakuna mambo ya TOSG boss nisaidie nitoke.
So to my colleagues, can menda Australia? Mnajua ni kwa nini?
But it's because now they are looking in hindsight. For us, that is, maze, saa 9 unaenda home kufanya nini? Well, you think about it here. If you say at I'm leaving the office at 3:30 to go and pick my kids, mdosi mgani atakubali? Because we are still in the building process. So we need to ask ourselves, what is of value? Because these kids are here for what? Tops 18 years. And they are gone. By that time is when you've reached the prime of your life. Umefika 45. Ukiachilia watu wako wa first waanze kwenda. My son now is 18. You look back and you're like, if I had time with them, I had time. If I didn't, it's over.
Gone.
It's over.
Bro, as guys can have these conversations for long.
Kabisa.
It's been real, man.
Nataka hao imeisha. Na say, ama ashas wetu silewa sijui.
To my ashas. But thanks, man.
Bless you. It's a joy. It's a joy connecting, man. We've done ministry together for a long time, man.
We'll have another
But even
one.
you've been youth ministry. That's mbona unaniambia mimi youth ministry. Pia umekuwa youth ministry.
Mimi conversations ni zako. This has been good, man. But we need to have another one. Because, we've not even dived into...
Pali mliniingiza chini ya basi.
Hizo toka ni za episode 2. Hizo za episode 2. But this has been so good, man. And of course, to all our listeners and the guys who are watching, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please share the good news. Let people know that the podcast is happening every week. Ewags, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been a joy.
It's been enriching, man.
It's been real.
So wase wapon tafadhali. Wase kunyonga monkey. Kuna consequences, man. It may seem good for the moment,
but it bites later.
Itabite baadaye.
Nikayo nyoka inalala hapo hivyo.
Ndio hiyo sasa.
Inapanga kukumanga.
Itakumanga. Inapanga kukumanga. Acha.
And whatever you do, don't go camping with Mozu. Don't want a scorpion.
Situpange vile nenda camping we Rosie mimi na Debs.
Wapi Serena? Serena tented camps. Zile ziko na showers, ziko na heated floors. Hiyo.
Uko sawa hiyo.
Na kuna waiter hapo nje, amesimama hapo nje.
Nakuamsha mazee, it's time to go for a game drive. Mr. Ewagata, are you guys going for a game drive?
Hata game drive niko na wasiwasi. Mimi lazima mnifungie hiyo gari. Mimi mambo ya kaka hapo nje kama mbolea staki.
Anyway, guys, we'll catch you next week on the podcast. God bless, man.
Bless you.